Hey everyone, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. My name is Zarinah El-Amin, and I am the founder of the Power Author Academy and Book Power Publishing. And these author spotlights, these chats that we have been having, if you will, are with authors from around the world. And they allow us to have an entryway into their mindset, into the ups and downs of publishing, into their lives, into their dreams, their hopes, their goals and things that they're looking to do in the world. And I love them because I get a chance to know people who are trying to share their messages on a broad level, like get to know them a lot better. So this evening you will be meeting the Dr. Honorable Neletha Butterfield out of Bermuda, out of Jamaica by way of Bermuda, and and we're going to have an amazing conversation with her around politics, around entrepreneurship, around alternative education. The lady has done a whole lot of stuff, so we're going to have a really great conversation with her this evening. I'm super excited. While you all have any questions, you can always drop those into the comments and we'll be able to bring those questions forward as well. A couple of housekeeping things, some announcements, if you will. So our Power Author Academy right now is going on. This is our signature program where we walk new authors, through creating their books, best-selling books, from beginning to the end, from idea to published author. So we are literally walking them step by step by step and giving them guidance on their content, making sure that their books really resonate with an audience, making sure that they set everything up so that they can publish it and have it in Barnes and Nobles and all the different retailers that they may want to have their books in online. And that is going on. So if you are interested and you know you need some support with getting your book done, then inbox us or email us at support@bookpowerpublishing.com. And then we will help you get your book done. We'll help you get your book done. We have some amazing books that are coming out over the next few months. We have I'll Spend My 9 Lives Traveling. That is an amazing travel memoir that's coming out. We have Under the Sinai Skyline, which is a book about Yemen. And that's a children's middle grade book. It's super duper dope. It's illustrated as well as it's just super dope. But that is coming out. We have an interfaith book that's coming out in the summer or so. So we got a lot of stuff going on. I'm super excited. Okay, so those of you who are joining us, hey, Miss Yvonne. Hello, Ronette. So those of you who are joining us, please go ahead and share this out with some other people, and let's have a great conversation this evening. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in the Honorable Dr. Neletha Butterfield, and then I'm going to formally introduce her to you all. So welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
Great to see you.
You too. You too. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you today?
I'm doing good today. Had a wonderful day. Had a class this morning, so I'm doing quite well this evening. Yes.
Awesome.
Hello, my friends who may be coming on, whether you're from overseas or from Bermuda and from Jamaica. Thank you. Good to hear from some of those that will come on.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so let me see. Look this way. You're looking a different way that's not at the camera. I want you, yeah, right there. That's where I want you to look, right there.
Okay.
Then that'll be perfect.
Don't move.
Yes. All right. So you all, the Honorable, now, first of all, before I get into it, the Dr. Honorable Neletha Butterfield. Sometimes I'm like, should I call her Honorable? Should I call her Doctor? Should I call her Miss Butterfield? What do you like people to actually call you?
Well, most people call me Honey. That's my nickname. But most of the times I just sign off as Nalitha. But if I'm doing a letter or anything like that, I use my title. But Nalitha is fine. Yes.
Mm-hmm. All right. Beautiful. So Dr. the Honorable Neletha Butterfield, MBE, JP, EDD, is the founder, owner, and director of a computer school and an alternative learning center called CARE, which stands for Children and Adults Reaching for Education, which she founded in November of 1983. So I was 4 years old. I was born in
Oh,
79. So I was 4 years old when you founded
you
this.
could have attended.
Yeah, I couldn't have attended it. All right. So, as a woman of action, she has taught and reached thousands of Bermudians, both young and mature. So, her latest book is Student Essays for the Soul. Student Essays for the Soul. So, I'm not going to read her full bio because I want to kind of actually get into it. But let me tell you how I know Miss Nalitha, Miss Honey. I'm going to call her Miss Nalitha.
Yes.
So, let me see. I went to Bermuda maybe, five. I don't even remember what year it was now. Maybe it was 5 years ago.
Maybe that. Yeah.
It may have been longer than that. Yeah, I was invited to go to do some head wrapping. So I did some head wrapping workshop with the mosque, the Muslim community there in Bermuda, which was amazing. And then we also did a workshop on telling their story and being able to jumpstart their books. And somebody there, I think it was Dr. Muriel Wade Smith, I believe it was
Right.
her, connected me with Miss Nalitha, and I got a chance to meet her, learn about her political career as a cabinet minister of technology and education, I believe. We'll talk about that in a moment. But I got a chance to meet her and be inspired by everything that she was doing. She came to me to begin to get her books together because she had some ideas for books that she wanted to publish. And so my job, of course, was to help her be able to get those out. And the first one was Speeches for the Soul, was her very first book that she put out, which was a compilation of all the different speeches that she had done over the span of her long political career. And from that book, now we're at her 8th or 9th book, which is Student Essays for the Soul. Student Essays for the Soul. So, Miss Nalitha, let's kind of go back before we get into the politics and all of that. I kind of just want to know, like, your family structure. You grew up where? How did your family set you up for this life that you're living now? So, tell us a little bit about where you grew up and the beginning.
Yes. Well, I grew up in the parish of Pembroke in Bermuda. I have two brothers, Roger and Michael. They're still with me, and they're living in Bermuda. My mother came from Princess Street, and her name was Phyllis Butterfield, and my father was right from where the homestead is, and that's in Pembroke. My father was a musician, so that's where I get all my dancing from. all the music, all the music from. And so we grew up in a very good structure. You know, back then you had to go to Sunday school, you had to go out Easter Sunday and all kinds of things. My father was a community person, so I believe that's where I got all of my community skills from. And it was called the OTW Club, and that was Out of the Window Club, where the neighborhood came together and we did all kinds of things in the neighborhood. And back then, everybody was your aunt. You did anything wrong, they were responsible for what you did. They would hold you accountable and so forth. I still think of the days of when we played marbles in each other's yard, when we did hopscotch, and when we ran up and down the hill. And the best part is that I lived near the water. So I was one of those who swam very well. And again, my father was one in the community that would take us out every summer. He'll take the boys out first fishing, then he'll take the girls out first. And the OTW Club finally came the Pembroke Community Club, which I finally became a member. But the Pembroke Community Club was made up of the Butterfields, the Dillises, and a few others that did work in the neighborhood for the children. It was a great because everybody worked together.
Okay, so let me see here, because Bermuda, well, first, Ms. Butterfield, before we continue, I want to move you over just a little bit. that this way. Can you move over? Yeah, that way, just a little bit more.
Oh, goodness. My couch is in the way now. Don't laugh, folks. How's that?
No, I don't see you yet. I'm still waiting. I don't see you yet. You're going the wrong way. I want you to come the other way. Yep. A little bit more. Wait, I lost you again.
Any better?
No, you were there. Keep going over a little bit. Yes.
No?
Hold on. I'm waiting for the video to come back. Hold on. Okay, that's a little bit better. Yeah. But you're looking at something that's not the camera. I'm trying to figure out what are you looking at? What are you looking at down there? Is it another screen?
I'm looking at you. You.
All right.
I'm looking at you.
I don't know. For some reason, it's over to the side, but that's okay. We're going to go on into it. Okay. So for those of you who are joining us, I am Zarinah El-Amin, and we are here with the Honorable Neletha Butterfield out of Bermuda, but now is in Jamaica. So we'll talk about that in a moment. But she is a former cabinet minister from Bermuda. She is an entrepreneur. She is an advocate for alternative education. And she is just a force to be reckoned with. And today we're going to have a conversation around women in politics. We're going to have a conversation around stepping outside of your comfort zone. And we're going to have a conversation even around some of the things that are happening now that she is based in Jamaica. We're going to talk about that as well. So for those of you who are just joining us, welcome. Go ahead and type into the chat box where you're joining us from as well. I see Ghana. I see New York. I see a couple of people from New York, and I see definitely, I see Brother Halil from Ghana as well. So welcome, everybody. All right, so we just found out, you're born on the island of Bermuda, which is not very large, right? So how many people, what's the population of Bermuda? Uh-oh, did I lose you? I think I may have lost her. Oh no. You guys, we tested everything
you
earlier.
Hear me?
It's my fault. Yes, I can hear you now. But it's going out. And then my thing is doing this too. Can you hear me? Okay, maybe we should switch back to the. I can see you, but you can't hear me. I don't think. Nope, she can't hear me. I don't think. Okay, you guys, we have to get some. Nope, it's still not there.
It's okay.
Let's see.
But the wife.
I don't know why it's doing it. It may be the internet
on the
It could be. Is your phone on a separate network than the regular?
Don't go anywhere.
Okay. I know the video is blurry. I don't know why it's doing that. Let me see. I'm gonna close it down. I have no clue why it's doing that. We have some technical issues today. Focus camera. Oh, there it is. It's still kind of blurry though. Oh, there we go. The camera's trying to do something. Okay, so let me see. I'm gonna add to stream. I'm gonna remove this one. Add.
Here we go.
Okay, here we go.
I think we better stay right there.
Okay, sounds good. So I'm gonna remove this one.
Can you see me okay?
Yep, I can see you.
All right.
All right.
Huh?
I said, all right.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I didn't like the phone anyway.
I know. I know. I know.
Are
That's
you
your
seeing?
life.
Are you seeing me fine?
Yeah, I can see you fine.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was there holding that thing in my hand and trying to do this and that. You know, I'm a laptop girl now.
I know. I know. It's my fault. I was trying to make sure it didn't have any echoes and all that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
like this is
Oh,
like
we'll give them a second time when we finish the 9th book, huh?
right. When we finish the 9th book. All right, everybody. So welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. This is life, right? Sometimes you have things that come and try to knock you down. And one of the things that I really like about Miss Nalitha, Miss Honey, is that she said a lot of things that have tried to knock her down over her long career in politics and
Yes.
entrepreneurship, and she was able to bounce back and stay strong. So, all right. So let's jump right into, I think I want to jump into the alternative education, and then we'll come into the politics side. We see that you were born, you're on this island of Bermuda, which is a pretty small island. Like it's not a big island where you
No, it's like a dot in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean.
How many people live in Bermuda?
It's about 65,000. Yes.
65,000. So less than my city, right? So I'm in the city of Detroit. I think we have 700,000. I don't know what our population is anymore, but 65,000, right? So it's a very small. So I imagine kind of everybody knows everybody.
Everybody knows everybody, just about. Yes.
Yeah, everybody knows everybody.
If you don't know them, you will get to know them. Yes.
So, all right. So talk to us about your schooling and then lead us up to like your founding of this center, this care center.
Yeah, well, my primary schooling was at West Pembroke School. And then I went on to the Prospect Secondary School for Girls and started out as a young teenage mother. And that is a good thing to say because that's what you want me to write about one day is how I got started. I was an honor student there. And I went on to do a lot of overseas courses, especially in accounting. So I got my accounting degree. But then later on in life, still doing some schooling overseas, but not what you say online, but internationally. I met Dr. Mary Wade Smith, and she took me on to the University of Ohio, where I started computer assisted instruction. And that was back in the 80s. But I was working as an accountant through getting my general certificate out of Canada, and I was working as an accountant. But when I met Dr. Smith, I had just lost my job as an accountant for an international company. So if you're looking at today when people are made redundant, well, I was made redundant back there in 1983. And so I went on to work with Dr. Mary Wade Smith, and she suggested that, hey, why don't you open up a link to my school? And that was possible. And I don't know if you're too young to know that there were modems back then instead of Wi-Fi.
I know modems.
Oh, okay. So 38 years ago, we linked up Care Computer School. And at first, it was just to help young people improve in their math, English, the basic subjects, and to learn how to use computers. But then there are so many young people, as well as adults, who wanted to get the high school diploma. So the program that we had, and I still use it today, 38 years later, of course, it's been upgraded, and that was for individuals to get their high school diploma, their GED. So right now, my school is still open in Bermuda. There are online courses where you can get your work essential certificate. Come on, people, we've got online courses. Your certificate prints out as soon as you finish the course. You have computer essentials. It teaches you all about computers. And then you have, I think it's work essentials, computer essentials, and it's one more that life skills program. So we're glad to say that those programs are also in the prison now. Remember, we started out in the prisons in 1984 with the online courses.
Let me pause you for a second.
Yes.
I'm gonna pause you for 1 second. So I need to go back and like be able to process this. What I'm interested in is like your trajectory as a human being, coming from how you grew up and into this powerhouse that you are now. Like there are so many little things that contributed to where you are right now. And someone
Yes.
that hears, oh, you're a cabinet minister, you serve the government of Bermuda, you own this school, you do this and this. The little things that contributed to how you got here are really important. So let me go back, because you said you were a teenage mom, right? So you were,
Yes.
how old were you when you had your first child?
I was 16 years old. He's now 50 something. He's quite old now.
So you were
Yes.
16 years old. I imagine that you were maybe nervous or afraid. Like, how was that period?
I felt I was very mature. I'll tell you one thing I did feel. I thought that I had embarrassed my parents. I felt really bad about that. But like I said earlier, I had two wonderful parents that supported me the whole way, the entire way. My mother was one that was there the whole time for me, with not just my first son, my second son, as well as my daughter. And I was able to go to school nights because she looked after the children while I went to school. And my father, actually, there was one time he used to pick me up with the kids, and everyone thought I was going out with a married man, but he was my father picking me up with my three children. So they were very supportive. You know how we talk about single parents, but if you can have that support along with your grandparents, your godparents, your own parents, then you can make it. So that's how I came up, and that's how I was able to make it. And they allowed me to open up the school that I do have now in the basement of my home, and it just grew from there. It just kept growing, growing, growing.
Okay,
Yes.
so you're a teenage mom. You're 16, which is actually the same age that my mom had her first child. So my mom was 16 when she had my older brother, Maurice. And the same thing with my mom, she was able to continue her schooling because my grandmother came in and
Yes.
with the help
Yes.
with, the son. But I imagine, during this time, a lot of teenage mothers, one, don't have the support that you and my mother had. And then two, because of society, because of all of the pressures, many of them never seem to be able to break out of
Yes.
clutch hold that's on. So I'm wondering, from the outside, you had this great support system, but you're still very young at this point, 16, 17 with a child and such. What was happening like in the society that allowed you to, were there pressures from outside that tried to hold you back, or how did you really?
No, there were no pressures from outside. As I said, I would go to, along with my girlfriends, we would go, it's now called teen services. We would go to a group and have group sessions, and we learned about how to find a job, how to set a table, all those basic things in life that you learned about. So over the years, you looked at this, and then all of a sudden you say, well, what can I do better for myself? Because remember, I said I thought I embarrassed my parents, so I wanted to do better for them. And so I always landed great jobs. I always landed great jobs. Did a bookkeeping course. I got a bookkeeping job. Did an accounting course, and then I became the accountant of a international company, making very good money. And so my grandmother said to me, if you're going to make it in life, you got to save your money. Of course, back then you thought you were sharp in an international company, or they call it exam company today. Back then I was making like almost $1,000 a week. So therefore I was able to support the three children that I had. And again, still doing the work and still going back to school nights and so forth again, because I'm a live-in at home with my mother. So I'm able to do all this. And I give a lot of credit to my mother for that, because without her, I don't think, no, I know I wouldn't be where I am today.
Hmm. Shout out to moms. So, where were the fathers of the children? Were they involved with their rearing, or was you the primary supporter of the children by yourself?
Unfortunately, they weren't involved, and I'm glad that you made that a point, because with my experience as a single mother, it cost me, when I also joined the church, it caused me to do single parenting groups, right? Bob Marley says, who feels it knows it. So when you can do that type of work in the community, it's because you have been through it and you have felt it. So you were talking about in the community how the other single parents were going on. Well, we would go out and help young girls and bring them in. As you know, as you look at my bio, I am the president of the Bermuda Business and Professional Women's Club. And that is a club that helps individuals, sponsorships, a whole lot of workshops to help women to see, teach them how to speak, and a whole lot of grooming things that will help women to grow. Yeah. So I got involved. It wasn't until 1989 that a Caucasian lady said to me, "You do so much, you need to go into politics."
Okay.
So that's how that started.
We're gonna get there. We're gonna come to this politics part. So how I view, you're growing up now is that you have this wonderful family support system. You have your mother, you have these two brothers, you have your mother, you have your father. Your father is active. He takes you guys fishing. You do things with him, and you see him, and you see your mom working out in the community. Then you get pregnant at 16. You're like, oh no, I embarrassed my family. The pressures of trying to please, your family. I still feel that pressure now. I still try to please, my family and such. So the pressures that come up of trying to please our families, and you felt at that point that you had embarrassed them.
I did this in a speech, and I said it was some young people at the Barclays Institute, and I always believe that when you go out to speak, you have to tell the truth.
Yeah.
So when I told them of my experience, and I said, "Oh my gosh, I had my son Jeffrey when I was 16, but guess what? I fell again," and you could just see the look on their faces. You say, "Now what could have happened again?" So they're 15 months apart. So once you go out and tell the truth and you give your experience, I'll never ever forget that. It was in the old Barclay Institute. I'll never forget that speech that Mrs. Kabisi, she was the principal. When that speech ended, every last person in that building stood up. And she said she'd never seen that happen. And she says, "Why do you think it happened?" She asked some of the students, said, and guess what they said? They appreciated someone coming to tell the truth because they were tired of hearing people saying, "Well, I got a master's degree from here. I got a bachelor's degree from here," and just, giving all those praises instead of telling their life story. So I did tell my life story throughout the book, The Speeches for the Soul.
Yeah. So, yes. So for those of you who are joining us, we're hearing the life story and some history from the Honorable Dr. Neletha Butterfield out of Bermuda, out of Jamaica, out of Bermuda, but living in Jamaica right now and such. And she is the author of 8 books and counting. The last one is Student Essays for the Soul. And we'll talk about what this is, Student Essays for the Soul. So right now, we're up to the point where you've been doing these international classes. You said you went to Ohio. You think you did something in Canada where you're studying some different accounting and business type of fields and such, and using those to fuel you. Your education is fueling your job opportunities that you're getting. You're making good money and such. And so you said, you met this lady. Well, first of all, your job, they fired you, or they
it was made redundant.
Made redundant, right? So now take us right there. So you said you're made redundant. I'm imagining you probably scared and nervous,
oh goodness, I was scared. I was very scared. I had just joined the Bethlehem Church, and I received a letter when I went to work to say that, made redundant. One of the things, and that's going to be in my next book, about where the company said I was an asset. And I've never known for people to get rid of assets. But I was walking up the street and I was smiling, and I remember Miss Anderson from Bethlehem Church. She said to me, "Oh, you're happy today." I said, "No, I can't be, but because I'm scared. I just lost my job and I don't know how I'm going to feed my children." But you would recall that I said to you, my grandmother said, "Save your money." And so happens I had saved up this money. And then I saw Dr. Muriel Smith on television, and I said I should go meet her. And she allowed me to come into her business, and I worked for her for a while. So she was, she gave me a job so that I could help to feed my children and so forth. We became very great friends. And up until today, we are still great friends.
Yeah.
Really, really great friends.
Wait,
And
okay, so pause for 1 second, because I hear you say you saw her on TV, so you didn't know her.
no,
Okay, so you saw this lady that inspired you in some way. You saw this lady that you thought could help you get some part of your life together, and
yeah,
then you.
not just my life, but my daughter, and she gets mad at me sometimes when I say these things. But my daughter needed some extra lessons, so instead of me going down there to her school in the basement of her house, I took the three children instead of just taking one. And when she met me, and I was paying $90 a week, $30 each for those children, you can't get that for you can't get $30 for one child today, right? Or they feel it's too expensive anyway. So she questioned me and said, "Who are you? Who will come here with three children and pay $90?" So I told her who I was and what I was doing. And then she says, "Well, since you did accounting, can you help me with my book?" So instead of me paying her me paying her for the children, that's how my children got lessons through her. And then we linked up via modem in the basement of my house, and that's where care started. And I have dedicated my next book to her.
So I hope you're catching this right here, because to me, this is like a moment of courage, but also like reaching out for your goals. You know, you're at a dark place at this time. You've just been made redundant at your job. You don't really know exactly where your next, paycheck is going to come from. You were smart because you listened to your elders. So you
That's
listened to
right.
your mother who said, save your money. So you had a nest egg, right? So for those of us who are listening, save your coins. Make sure you have those nest eggs, because you never know,
Yes.
life can hit you at any moment, right? So you saved your money. You had some money so you weren't, suffering at that moment. But then you saw this lady on TV.
Yeah.
Saw this lady on TV. You were inspired by her, and then you actually sought out, like you made an effort. You went and you said, "I'm going to connect with her." And then that literally changed your whole trajectory. Just that one
Yes.
meeting changed
Yes.
everything. And the reason I'm slowing this part down is because a lot of us, have dark moments and times where we are afraid and we're not quite sure, which way to go. And sometimes we feel like we're not worthy to reach out to those who are in positions of power, because I don't want to come to them like this. I want to come to them when I'm up here, when I have everything together. But you saw somebody that could serve as a mentor to you, could help you out, could help your children out, and you actually went out there. I think that's a very courageous trait.
Yes, we should all seek somebody that can help us. It's very important. Always look for someone that can help you get through anything, no matter what it is. I even feel today, and Dr. Mira Wade and I, unfortunately, she's in the hospital, so pray for her. We had a conversation today, and she says she still doesn't understand why we don't seek the elders. The elders will help you to let you know what they went through and how they got over. We did have to get over a lot of obstacles. I know people listening now, friends listening now, but may never see the hurt that I felt, when I went through all of this and when all this lonely nights and so forth and staying up. My mother used, every time I finished the class in the basement of my home, my mother always had my supper ready, or she had a cup of tea. She'd always say, "Come on, honey, you got to eat something." But I would burn the midnight oil trying to help other people's uh, children to get through some of their academic studies, which was not easy. Back then, what we're seeing today is what happened back then, but we cared enough. And one of the key words that Dr. Muriel Wade Smith said today is that not only did we care, but we sacrificed. We didn't have all the money that we should have, so we sacrificed to help people to get along the way. When I came back here to Jamaica, I said, it's my healing point. I don't want to teach anymore. My son runs the school along with his son. They are moving on with the legacy. But I'm still teaching virtually. You can't get away from it.
You're never going to stop. You're never going to stop. But all right, so we're at the place you meet, this woman that has a school herself. You put your kids in her school, and then she hires you. You barter, for the skills that you have, so that you're giving your children some additional lessons and such, but paying for it through your skills that you acquired, right? And so then she tells you that you should start your own school. Wow. This is key right here. This is really key.
That's right. Yes.
This is really key for a lot of reasons, right? She has a school, and she tells you, this young other, Black girl that she's mentoring, that you should start your own school. There's no competition here between
no. And she even gave me the students. She said, these students live in Pembroke. You take these students and I'll keep the ones. We shared. And that's what we did back then. We shared. If she had somebody, even today, she would say, oh, Nalitha, someone just came by. They want their GED, but you're the best person to do it. I'm just going to do the young children. So that still went on today. We live in a society of a selfish people. People very selfish. And I always feel that when you're selfish, you're never successful. You can start a business. You're not going to be successful, because those are the things you do. And I'm not made a lot of money. I had no intentions of making a whole lot of money. But one of the things I did do was allow hundreds of young people to come to my school free, right? And as much as I tried to get money from those that owed, it doesn't work. Just 2 weeks ago, I said to a young lady, you need to pay me the balance for your daughter coming to my school. What had happened that she was working, we're doing virtual classes, and she disturbed the whole class, virtually playing reggae music. When I came back and saw her, it just took me off my thing. And I said, oh no. But the reason why I told her that she couldn't come back on is because the parents started calling. And the parents were saying, well, what happened with that session? So I had to protect those students. And so she sent me back a email message. She said, I'm not paying the balance because you wrongfully dismissed my daughter. So it's gone. I'm not going to worry. I called my son and I said, write the funds off, because in life, she's not going to be successful. You have to know your priorities, and you have to also be accountable. And that's what's happened in the world today. We are in denial of what some of our children do, and we have to listen to those that are telling you what's wrong. When you go through Essays for the Soul, you're going to see some stories from some young people who having a difficult time, but they knew how to come back and say thank you. They knew what to say in the graduation messages. And all of it said is because those at the Care Learning Center, not only did they care, but they loved us and they taught us special ways to learn. So that's going to be an interesting book. Also in that book is 20 years of essays. And if you read through the essays, getting back probably to my father's, for when I was coming up, people wanted to be nurses, people wanted to be doctors, people wanted to be lawyers, people wanted to be construction workers, people wanted to be carpenters and plumbers. And you see that in these essays. So that's why I asked, did we shatter their dreams? Because back in the day, if you wanted to be a plumber, you went out with a plumber. If you wanted to be a carpenter, you went out with the carpenter. Are we bringing our young people along to learn trades, right? Most times people say education is not important because I didn't go to school or I didn't finish my high school diploma or whatever. But it is important. Reading is important. Just like I said to you tonight, people were saying what time, and I said, well, did they read anything? So that's just a joke.
So for those who are wondering what book she's talking about her latest book, which is Student Essays for the Soul. And this is a group of essays. So if you've heard so far, right? So let me recap. So Miss Nalitha, right, was made redundant at her job. Then instead of just going to get another job, she started her own school. So she stepped into entrepreneurship in the nonprofit world or whatever. She started her own school called CARE, Children and Adults Reaching for Education. So she started her own school, which still is going on till today. So the school that she started in 1983 is still existing till today. Her son and her grandson, are now running portions of the school. She is still teaching, although she is retired in Jamaica, right? She retired from Bermuda to Jamaica. So she's retired, but she's still teaching. Over the span of all of those years, she's had hundreds and hundreds of students who have come through getting their GEDs, going and getting additional classes so that they can better themselves. And in their schooling, all of them had to do an assignment where they had to write certain essays about their life, about their dreams, about their hopes, the things that they wanted to accomplish. And Miss Nalitha saved those essays over all of those years.
All those years.
It's a miracle in and of itself that she saved all of these essays over the years. And that's what this book is here, Student Essays for the Soul. So when she's talking about all of these students writing these essays, these are like the real hopes and dreams.
Yes, yeah.
These are the things that they thought about, that they really wanted to accomplish. And when you hear people talking about, I got my GED, I got this, like, you got to think like about people's real life. These are real lives. These are real people and their lives. So,
and some of their essays will say, I want to be an X-ray technician. Well, they did become that. Somebody wanted to be an accountant. They did become that. And so you would see in the book, underneath the name, that they accomplished the goal. They wanted to be a chef. They wanted to go into culinary arts. Now, one exciting thing for Bermudians to do, if they buy that book, somewhere between 2010 and now, there were individuals that went into this 2 secondary schools, and they would go in, and I think they called it Career Day. So when you go into Career Day, there's your career as a nurse, as an actual person, as a bookkeeper, an accountant, all the things that they had there for Career Day. And the students are writing about what they wanted to be. Now, some of those essays are very weak. So I say to myself, you had those career days, but did you tell the students that you needed a high school diploma, that you needed a science, high levels in science and social studies and math? So you would see that really wasn't brought home to these young people. So that's why you have so many young people who have not completed their high school diploma or reached that goal that they talk about in that essay. And I think one day we'll have to say, where are they now? There's some doing some great things. I believe one ended up on CNN. I don't know where he is now. But the 6 young men that are in front of that book were all tragically killed in road accidents. And I felt that it was important to the public to know that these young men had goals and dreams and ambitions as well, and to keep their memories alive.
Oh, that's what right. When I think about that, you're absolutely right. They had dreams, they had goals, they had ambitions, and they were tragically killed. So, so here you are, you're a young woman, you have 3 children, you start your own school, you have a great mentor that is teaching you and helping you move along. And then you say, at some point, you already are a giver. You already are somebody who's serving the community at this point, right? But then there's something else that caused you to get into politics. Now, some people shy away from politics. Like I already know. I already know, right? It really worked for me. But they said, no, come on in. So how did you get into politics?
Well, it was in 1989, I think the Progressive Labor Party had ran Dame Jennifer Smith, and she won. And I was down on Front Street, and a Caucasian woman knew me from my job, and she says, Nalitha, you need to join that group and become a politician. I'm like, I don't think so. But after that big event down that they had down at the dock, the #1 dock, I believe it was, and this is many years ago. It wasn't until my friend Kay Luz and I were having a libation, and young man who now has a Augustus funeral home, he says, "You girls need to come and join the Progressive Labor Party, and I want to see you there Monday night." So I said, "Okay, sure, we girls will come by. You know, you're having like your libations, and you're saying, yeah, we'll do it." I showed up, and Miss Kay Lewis didn't show up.
How old are you right now? How old are you?
I'm 69.
I mean, not now, but I mean, how old were you then?
I think I was 30 something. Yeah, 30 something. Yeah. When I joined, but my school was 30 something. 89. We got to do the math. So I was 30 something when I went into politics. So I joined the Pembroke branch, ended up being the secretary, ended up being the treasurer, ended up being this, and just got involved. And then the party leader, which the airport is named after, the late Al.F. Wade, Frederick Wade, he says, "We're looking for someone in the community to run in Pembroke. Oh, we'll put you somewhere safe." And I said, no. I understand what's going on, but I would rather run in the area where I live because I know the people there. And he says, "Huh, no, I don't think you should do that. Yeah, you're not going to win that seat. That's a stronghold." Like you would say, we have Democrats and Republicans. So it was a Republican stronghold. And I said, "Well, I'll give it a go." So in 1993, I ran for the Progressive Labor Party, and I lost by 154 votes. That's in the book. And Mr. Wade said, "Gosh, no one has ever got that much votes and that much support." So I said, "Well, listen, I know Dame Jennifer Smith ran 5 times. I'm not running 5 times to get in Parliament. I would do it one more time." He rewarded me by putting me in the Senate, and the Senate is where I grew. I want to just make a point here because I know you asked me about the historical parts of my book. And that's the reason why I write the books, because when people see me, they don't know me, right? And so when I went into the Senate, we used to always go to the schools to speak. We did things in the community. People knew us. As time went by, you got another couple of generations, 3 generations coming through. And I noticed that these young people were coming to my school, and I would put out my hand and shake and say, "Hi, how are you?" And I always say, "Well, do you know me?" And they always say, "No, never seen you before." And I said, "Good God, 65,000 people on the island, and you don't know someone who has served in the Senate." Well, I know just about every member of Parliament in Jamaica, because it's in their books, it's in their history books, it's in their geography book. They have a show where students go on 6:30 at night. There's not a contest, but it's a show, and when it comes on, a picture comes up. Who's this person? Right away, the students know. What's the name of your famous bird? All of these things the students know. Well, we have a thing in Bermuda that we don't allow the young people to know what sacrifice people made and who they are. I had a student come to my school, and I had a poster up, Ruth Seaton James. And Ruth Seaton James is a hole inside of Cedar Bridge. And the guy says to me, one of the students running down the steps says, "Ruth Seaton James, that's the name of my school. Well, why isn't it a poster up there or something up there in the school to say who Ruth Seaton James is?" So I said, "Well, look, hold up. I want you to meet her grandson." My grandson was attending the school. I said, "Why don't you tell people who your grandmother is?" So all those kinds of things, even through Black History Month, even though Bermuda celebrated, but we don't celebrate our historians or our people who have made such a great contribution. Now and then you hear of someone, but those that are living are the ones you need to talk about and to appreciate. And that's one of the calls that Dr. Merrill Wade Smith made to me today, because she wanted to highlight that we need to start talking about the contribution and how people got to where they are, because then it makes you stronger. It makes you come up with a vision. It makes you come up with some ideas. If they can do it, I can do it too. Run my own business, start this, see how you can go about it. I like to share, and I think that's important.
Yeah,
Yeah. Mhm.
that's beautiful.
Yeah, it's so much. 5 years in the Senate really did groom me, and then in 1998 we ran for myself and Green Parentship, and we hunted down this 154 people and told them come out early to vote. And they were saying, "Well, how did you know we didn't vote?" Well, we had a little plan back then. We knew who came in the door, and we'll scratch the names off, and we knew who didn't. And so that I remember seeing on a blog that someone said, "Well, how would she know who didn't vote?" Well, hey, I've just told you how I knew, and we canvassed those first, and everyone came out. My brother Roger in 1993 thought I was going to win, and he says, "Chingas, all those people's names down the bottom of the barrel for the other party." So this time, and I won. All those people came out early. We told them come out early, just so the votes could be at the bottom of the barrel. So at the bottom of the barrel, I was leading over 100, 200, 300 votes. I remember my brother turning around and says, "Well, you got it this time." We knew it because we could see it, because the person who was doing the voting, who was counting the votes, was going, "Butterfield, Butterfield, 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 Butterfield."
I
And
love.
so in 1998, that's when the Progressive Labor Party won the election for the first time. We're in the hole trying to get out to say we won, because they never won that seat. We're there saying we won, we won, we won. They said, "Yes, we know, we just won, we just won." They're talking about we won the government. They never realized that we had won the 2 seats in Pembroke West Central. What a glorious time that was, and it was worth it. It was worth it. We knocked on every door. People were saying, "But who are you? We've never seen anybody like Black coming in this area." And so back then, that was a grand time. And I served in Parliament for 20 years. And goodness, 14 of those years was as a minister. That's a long time.
It is a long.
Yeah, how did they serve all that time? It can't be. I do my calculations.
I'm silent for a moment because I'm like I'm putting myself like in your shoes, and I'm watching the trajectory of you growing up. And this is one of the things that I just love, like seeing how people, the small decisions that they make in their lives lead them to where they are now. You come from being a teenage mom, then you go into school, then you see this lady on TV, you go reach out, that's you go reach out to her, you find her, and she becomes your mentor, and then people see you, they see that you're doing some great things, they see that your personality is one, and your compassion and your empathy and the drive that you have, and then they say, "Okay, we want you to come into our party." They recruit you, and you come in, right? You didn't shy back and say, "No." You actually come in to the party and you work your way up, because you're using your skills that you have, accounting, all those other skills that you have. You're serving the group, right? You worked your way up to becoming a minister. It wasn't just that you just came in and became a minister. You worked your way up. And then the first time you run, you lose, right? Like you lost the first time.
I
And
sure
a
did.
lot of people would have been like, "Oh no," like this
Yeah,
wasn't
it's
out for me.
not a good feeling, because you've done all this work in the community. You worked and you worked and you worked. You canvass and you canvass and you canvass. And I didn't become a minister until 2003. So that means I served in the House of Parliament for 5 years. I became the minister without portfolio after a minister passed. He had traveled to Africa, and that was the late David Allen. That's when I became the minister without portfolio. And then there was
Wait, the
a change.
out portfolio?
That means, yeah. So in order to explain to my students what a minister without portfolio was, I had to take out 12 file folders and show them all the ministries. And I said, "I'm in charge of all of these, but I don't have a title." When I say in charge, it means that if they need me, I go and work with one. So I don't have a portfolio, but I have to serve. Should one of the ministers, pass away or have to travel. That's the most important thing. So my first ministry was the Minister of Environment. I'll never forget when Alex Scott, who was the premier then, called me up and he says, 6:30 in the morning, Nalitha, I said, yes, Premier, I'm going to assign you as Minister of Environment. He's put the phone down. I didn't have a chance to say to him, well, why not Minister of Education? You know, and I never went back to sleep, and all I could think of, and started the breeze started to flow through my window. I said, sitting up on the edge of the bed, saying, what am I going to do as Minister of Environment? I don't know anything about the environment. All of a sudden, a breeze came across my face, and it says, the trees, the birds. I thought of Genesis and how the world was created. The birds, the bees, and them. I said, well, what are all the things that I could do with them? And I said, you know what? Education. Bring education into the Ministry of Environment. For those who have been to Bermuda, you've seen the aquarium. It's still there today, where there are signs up to say what type of fish, how is the pink sand made. And that came from my education experience, to let people know how you should read about these things. In Bermuda, nobody would know you ever done that stuff. I also helped with the turtle project. They took me out as they called me the hands-on minister, because I jumped in the water with the turtles. But then a bulb went off, and I said, why am I out here in the ocean swimming with these turtles that I didn't know much about? So I decided to do a program where young people got on that boat from various schools and went out there to swim with the turtles. So you take education with you. And of course, they used to call me the Minister of Outer Space, Inner Space, and some cyberspace, because I also took education from my experience with computers into the Ministry of Environment. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and finally, I had 7 ministries, and Ashfield event always reminds me that I served under 4 premiers. I don't think that would happen in anybody's time now. And I also had 7 ministry. Every time I did well in the ministry, they moved me. Then finally, they moved me to the one I wanted. Education. That was the Minister of Education. But lo and behold, my feelings were hurt. I was moved after 8 short weeks and sent back to the Ministry of Environment. Everybody started clapping and saying, we knew you was coming back to the environment, especially those young men at parks. They really enjoyed it. Mm-hmm.
So in Bermuda, when you have the minister, you're assigned
by the premier.
You're assigned by the premier to a spot, and in that particular spot, your job is to, enact programs and whatever is necessary for that particular area. Okay, so you wanted to be in education because clearly, like, that's your passion, right? Like that's dedicated your whole life, to education.
Didn't happen.
Right? Yeah, but
because I knew there needed to be some changes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I knew of those changes. I always felt from my own school, when they come at 15, 16, 17 years old, and some of them not reading, I wonder, well, how did they get through primary, middle, and secondary school? And I always felt that if that was happening, that's where the alternative education comes in. You are familiar with alternative education. Bermuda needs to get familiar with alternative education. Not every child can fit in a traditional learning environment because of the pace. Some move like turtles. Some move quicker than others. And that's the way it is. And you have to be able to work with that. We have moved too many young people through the education system instead of saying, hey, wait a minute, what's the alternative here for this individual? He looks like he can get it, but we just don't have the resources. We don't have the time. Behavior sets in. So what happens? They're either sent out of school, parents send them away, spend a whole lot of money, still have the problem. And this is why we do not accept any students into our school unless they are mandatory assessed. so that we can find out what the problem is before we start giving them the work that they can't do anyway. So that's important. And so
Yeah,
that's,
that's
yeah.
extremely important. So what you're saying is that, your approach to education was individualized, not just.
That's right, individual, and that's the programs that Dr. Mira Wade Smith and I had, was individualized education, right? If you're having problems in math, the biggest problem is multiplication and division. Once you get over that, you're sailing to algebra and to geometry. Basic things that we should know and that we should understand. Even like us with writing. Remember how we went through that first book, commas and semicolons and things like that,
Mhm.
And this is what needs to happen. I mean, I'm phasing out. I don't know who's going to come in and get serious about educating our young people. It just doesn't start when you bring them to me. It's the foundation that we must lay down. It's very important. Reading is a key thing. Show them how to do math. Even if you are, fractions is great. If you're helping your mama to cook half a cup, let them see.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you would know that. And those are the basic things that could have even been done in school, because in school we had cooking classes. We had to know what a half a cup of flour was.
Yeah, they've taken all of that out of our schools here now.
You ask,
Yeah.
yeah, you ask someone to bring you a measuring ruler or something, and they're like, "What for?" And I tell my students, I want straight lines, right? I don't want any crooked lines. But they don't know about the 16th and the 8th and the quarter inch and all that. They just don't know it. But the system that Dr. Mira Wade Smith and I had was that you can click up into the computer and bring down your ruler. You can click up into the computer and bring down your geometry set. You don't let technology get in the way. Technology is a tool to enhance your academic studies. It's important. And it's just so basic. You're going to keep having a child in your classroom being disruptive. Everybody says, well, his parents or her parents. Yes, parents are responsible. But if you've got a parent that can't read and write, then what's the answer?
What do? Yeah.
What's the answer, right? And so we have to reach out.
So how, so thank you, one, for the education around like some of the tips and techniques and your approach, to education. I think that we definitely need an overhaul of our educational system right now. That's a whole nother subject though, because I really feel that COVID gave us a time to see that our system was jacked up and we needed to fix it. But then we just tried to make it fit and it's just not working. So anyway, you're the minister, you're working in parliament as well as running your school. I'm just curious, as to like the balance between those two worlds as far as politics and the running of your school. Like, how did that balance happen? Because I could see.
Okay, yes. When I went into politics, it was just a part-time politician. You just went there every Friday. So I was able to run my school. I was able to teach in the prison, and I was also able to teach at the Bermuda College. When I became a minister, I had to call on Miss Mia Allen, who is my niece. She became the director. She took my position, and then Ashfield Devent. And then I also had a member of parliament who lost his seat, and his name was Dean Fogo. And Michael Weeks, who's in parliament now, he was the one that I kind of trained to go into politics, because he was the one that was going to take over my seat before all this other stuff went down. So Michael Weeks is now in parliament. So these four helped me to run my school while I was the minister of government. But of course, take politics. Saturdays I found myself there, or Sunday night I'll tell somebody come by, I teach them how to do something. It just doesn't leave you, just like it hasn't left me now. I wanted to leave me, but it just doesn't happen.
It's in you. It is a part of you. It's an extension of you. Okay, so you're in parliament for all these years. You're serving the government all these years or such. What made you retire?
That's a good point. I didn't retire. I didn't retire from politics. The now Premier, David Burt, him and along with four other young men wanted to be politicians. And it's what you would call a primary. We've never heard of primaries, not in the Frederick Wade days or Brown Evans days. So they look for 5 sure seats, and I happened to be one of them. And
Mm.
so I was challenged. And you want to talk about pain?
Mm.
That was painful that your own colleagues will come up against you. Um, in order to feel, I said it before, you have to wear the shoes. So we fought in a battle, and it was twice there was a draw. And by rights and by the rules, the incumbent keeps the seat. But no, Mr. Burt came back and he challenged me again, and he won by one vote. So I didn't lose my parliamentary seat, nor did I retire. I lost my seat to my own colleague in the Progressive Labor Party. He
Mm.
is now the premier of Bermuda. So whether he's thankful for me taking my seat from me, I haven't received that thanks. But everything works. Look, everything works out for good, and you know that because I wanted to retire when I got to about 20 years in Parliament. So I used to run across the street to Mr. Mendes, and he was the financial secretary. And I said, "Look, tell me what I'm worth. Please tell me what I'm worth in my pension, right?" And when he told me I was worth more than the members of parliament who got paid monthly, I said, "What? Why am I just staying up there?" But you just couldn't let it go because you wanted to help people, right? But I knew my worth. And so when that happened to me, I just said, okay, take it. And if it was a bad thing, then those that did wrong will suffer for their wrong. But to me, it ended up being a good thing. I retired. I bought a home in Jamaica, and I wouldn't have met you or read those books, wrote those books. So it's a good thing.
That
Yeah,
is really something.
it's done. And a lot of people said I should have fought it. I should still be in Parliament, but everything happens for a reason. And I walked away like a good professional. Some other people would have been angry, cursing, and wanted to get their seat back. But I thought I had served, and I had served well.
Yeah, yes, very well.
Mhm.
Job done well. So, sometimes we find that when we need something, when it's time for us to go to the next phase and we're holding back ourselves, like God
Mhm.
will send in something that forces you, to
And
go in
all the
a
time.
different
I mean,
direction.
there's a young man who just was. He was just buried. Was it yesterday or they had a? His name was Gregory Swan. And the morning after the election with David Burt when I lost, who told me to go to the city of Hamilton? I was bombarded with people that were just angry and annoyed that something like that happened. I was working my way up to the post office and I had an overcoming because I couldn't take much of all this pressure and what people would say. And Gregory Swan, and I'm glad I could say this tonight in his memory. And Gregory Swan says, "Butterfield, you all right?" Because Gregory worked with me under my ministry in telecommunications. He says, "No, stop me a taxi quick. I feel like I'm passing out. I can't take what's happening." I never thought that would have happened walking into the city of Hamilton. That's the capital of Bermuda. And so many people were just stopping. And this is probably the first time people have heard that story. Greg says, "I'm not putting you in a taxi. I'm running to my office and I'm getting my car." Greg took me home, made sure I settled all right, and always checked on me to see how I am. When I did 17 Trailblazers, his mother, Merle Brock Swan Williams, is in that book. Greg came by to buy 6 of those books. I said, "Why are you buying so many?" He says, "Oh, I'm giving them all to my family." So a great guy he was. So that's just to tell you some of the things that we go through. When that happened to me, 20 years walking up, no, well, 15 years walking up to the House of Parliament every Friday, that becomes a norm to you. I used to wake up Fridays, didn't even realize where I was, where I had to go. And then I remember, you're not in Parliament no more, sit still. You don't have anywhere to go but just run to your school and drown yourself in your work around there. So it's a big adjustment. And that's what people have to understand. We go through so much, we sacrifice so much. And I'm happy. I'm a
Mm.
survivor.
All right. So this is, hey everyone. I'm learning a lot, as you can see, which is partly why I'm just a little quiet, because I'm kind of just soaking in all of these different things, and like, the obstacles that come in, and how you were able to go around them. Okay, so you have this removal from the parliament, which opens up something else. Every door that closes opens.
That wasn't my only removal, I was fired by 2 premiers,
But then you were taking. We won't go into that. We'll come back to that a little bit. We'll come back to that.
Yes. Oh, I have my share of that too. Oh my goodness. So yes.
Yeah, but I mean, this is resilience, right?
Don't you remember that song? I've had my share of life's ups and downs.
Yeah, what's that? Gladys Knight.
Yeah. Come on.
Ups and downs. Hey, I
Yeah.
love that one. And things been hard. Okay, get it. Yeah, I get it. Yes. So you have had your share, of life's ups and downs. And
Yeah.
okay, so let's get, because I know I have a couple of things I still want to like really talk to you about. And I know I've kept you longer. I probably told you I would keep you like an hour, but I feel like this is some really
No,
important.
I don't even feel like it's been an hour. I've been an hour on my feet sometimes. I remember when I went to the House of Parliament, I was so proud in 1998. And Dame Lois Brown Evans, I walked in the House of Parliament ready to take my seat, and it was on the same side as the opposition. I said, oh no, I didn't win this seat to be sitting on the same side. And here's this voice, bring her over here. Dame Lois Brown Evans. I was there sitting behind her. And it wasn't until the next Friday she turned around and she said, hit her hand on that table. You're not to speak until I tell you so. I'm like, what? I just want a seat in the House of Parliament. I could speak when I want, but I have to honor my elder, right? 3 months went by, my lips were still sealed. And all of a sudden in February, following going back to Parliament for the budget, she turned around and said, it's your turn to speak now. I had no notes. I had nothing. Guess what the subject was?
Education.
Can you guess?
Education.
Education. She knew. You see, your mentors, those that take care of you, know how well you can do. Go ahead with your questions now. I'm having a great time.
All right. So, you're out of the parliament, as you mentioned, right? Like this had become an extension of your personality and who you are and all of that. You're going there every week. It's in your DNA at that point, right? And so then that part of your life stops and you throw yourself back into the school and those things. You never stop, but you refocused your energy.
And I returned to the prison.
And you returned to the prison.
And I volunteered my time.
And you volunteered your time.
Yeah, that was volunteered.
What I want to see is how this Jamaica part came in. And I know we had a real scare recently, and I want to come to that.
Yes.
So how did it end up that you retired? Because most people would say, oh, like from here, we'll say we're going to retire to Bermuda, right? Like we're going to retire to Bermuda, and you retired from Bermuda to Jamaica. How did you make that decision?
Okay, in 1991, Dame Lois Brown Evans was, she was very, I guess I would say, she belonged with the People's National Women's Movement, People's National Party Women's Movement in Jamaica. She had family in Jamaica, but she traveled to Jamaica a lot. And they were having a conference, and she says, well, let's send Nalitha. No, it would have been 1993 because I was a senator. And she says she needs to learn. She needs to, grow, needs to know what conferences are like, needs to know women's issues. And so she told the party, we need to send Nalitha to Jamaica. Well, I arrive in Jamaica and I'm seeing this beautiful place. Mountains, clear water, coconuts, mangoes, people on the street. You see your people all over. And so I fell in love with the place. And then in 1995, the People's National Party movement wanted someone to come back. Oh, Brown Evans, send Nalitha. I said, my goodness, they're sending me again. And off I went to Jamaica. And that's in my book as well, the speeches that I did. I just fell in love with the place. And then I started to get angry in Bermuda because my school was struggling with funding. And I said, if I can't get funding for this school, I'm leaving. I'm going to Jamaica. But that's in the 90s, which I never did. I guess someone heard, and we got a little bit of funding, not a whole lot, but enough to keep us going. Then there was a young Jamaican. She was a member of parliament in the UK, and she couldn't make it to be the speaker at the People's National Women's Movement. So they called Bermuda, and Brown Evans says, send Nalitha. Now, all this time, I'm running to Jamaica, and this is what happens. Such a beautiful place that I finally said, if I ever retire, I'll find a home here, and some good friends, maybe a partner, and so on.
I love it. So the lady that you said, from the parliament that identified your qualities, right?
Mm-hmm.
She identified who you were, what you were capable of, and then she plucked you out and said, "Send her." Like she said, you know what I heard when you said that? You said like they wanted you to develop certain skills, right? So
Yeah.
they were investing in you. They saw something
Yes.
in you. They wanted to develop certain skills. And they sent you to these different places so that you were able to get those skills. And then
Mm-hmm.
you, of course, being capable, right? Like you
Yeah.
were, it's not that they just sent some weak person to build them up, but you were already capable, right? You were
Yes.
capable and they wanted to build you up even more. And so that is how some of the opportunities came for you, is from people identifying your skill set and then helping to amplify
Yes, and you don't see that much today. The People's National Party Women's Movement is still in existence today. I still attend um, each year, but with COVID, we haven't had a meeting. And so some of the young ladies that I met back then are still with the party today. As you know, Portia Simpson Miller was the first female prime minister of Jamaica, and of course, she went through her thing with being displaced as well. They like to displace women, especially when we're on a roll. And they people say, well, how can we get more women? And Ashfield and I were just talking about it last night. You want more women in parliament. Why do you get rid of them? When you want them, you understand? I don't have the answer for it, but I do have an answer as to how we can get more women in parliament. And that's for those men to give up their seats. And I keep saying it. They can be angry at me, but if you want equality, like Yowanda, give up your seats and give it to a woman who wants to do something for her country, and you will get equality. You will.
Yeah, requiring them to give it up. That's the thing, though.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Nobody wants to give up the privilege. So,
Right.
all right. So I love Jamaica, first of all. So
Oh yes, I forgot to say thank you for coming.
thank you for having me, right?
Uh-huh.
That place is absolutely gorgeous. I love
Oh
mountains.
yes.
Jamaica has mountains. I
Listen, I just get in the car sometimes mornings
and
just
just
to see the
drive.
mountains, just to see the
Yeah,
mountains, and I come back home, and that's it.
yeah, it's absolutely stunningly beautiful.
Yes.
So, this last we're in a pandemic right now.
Yes.
2 years we've been dealing with this issue of COVID. My family had it at a very low scale, or not a very mild. We had mild cases, I should say, and other people have not had mild cases, and some people have succumb. Many of us lost friends, lost family members to this,
It is
this
something.
thing. It is definitely something. And over, I think it was this last year now, because this is 2022, you had your own scare with COVID, but you had some real ahas that came out of it. And I want you just to kind of share with us, like, what happened. You got it
Mhm.
in Bermuda, or you got it in Jamaica?
Well, first, I want to congratulate you for asking me because it's been almost a year that I found it difficult to talk about So thank you for giving me this space to apologize to some of my friends who I haven't talked to it about. Um, Not a good experience. I woke up one morning not feeling well for about 4 days, and I recovered. I felt good, but I coughed up mucus. And when I coughed it up, I said, well, my doctor always says get some antibodies for this so that it could clear up. It's sitting on your chest. Yeah. So I went to the doctor just for that. I was feeling fine. When I got there, he gave me an antigen test and it came up positive. Oh, Lord have mercy. I'm like, okay. I was scared, but I wasn't feeling sick. So he says you got to go to the health department to get a PCR test. Well, when I arrived at that health department, I'm like, what? Everybody's outside. There's sand blowing all over the place. Hundreds of people. You almost have to run, knock down the person to get to where you want to get your test. And so when I did my test, they put it in a bag and they just threw it over in a bucket. And I said to myself, well, I'm never going to see those results, am I? So I headed back home, told, my friend that I had been tested positive and just waited. I felt okay. Um, it's a part that I can't remember. So one day I have to sit with my sister-in-law, Judy. I have to sit with her because she was the one that was kind of organizing things. And I think she called one morning and I just wasn't sounding right. And she says, well, who's there? Who's could help you? Who could do this? Who could do that? And so I'm lost a bit in between there. I started to get worse. My breathing was deteriorating. And I do remember they finally got in touch with my lawyer in Jamaica, and his daughter-in-law is a nurse at St. Anne's Hospital, and she lives in the estate. And she came over. We couldn't get an ambulance. There were no ambulance available, and I had to travel by ambulance because of the breathing. So I had to get an ambulance, which cost me 30,000 Jamaican dollars, which is about 200 and something dollars. So I was taken to the St. Anne's Hospital. When I arrived, I was just thrown on like a piece of board. I'm like, what the heck is going on? I come from a country that you're not going to see things like that. So it was a big piece of board, like how when you went to school, your desk. And I stayed there overnight. I mean, just with this tube on my face, not knowing what's going on around me. And then they moved me to another room that looked like it was a storeroom with one bed. I remember a lady coming in, she had tested positive, and they had her in a wheelchair, and she was making off. And then they put me on a ward. I've been told by my lawyer that the prime minister found out that there was a former member of parliament in the hospital in St. Anne's Bay. Now, when they put me in that ward, no sheets, I'm like, my son is 50 something years old, and I've never ever seen a hospital looking like that. The fans weren't working, the air conditioners weren't working, there was no TV. You couldn't get Wi-Fi like you wanted to. It was just a mess. If you was going to get real sick, you was going to get real sick from that. But I just had to keep my composure. And then the matter got worse, and they put me in ICU in a air-conditioned place. You have the middle class, the elitists. So there I was for over 2 weeks there. I must praise the doctors and the nurses. They were just top. They were really good. There came a time, if you had COVID, you might understand. It only attacked my lungs. I do have diabetes. I do have hypertension. And I said, back, please don't hurt, because if my back starts to hurt, that means that my kidneys are going, all kinds of things I was thinking. Couldn't move. It was, the food was sardines and bread. And I said to myself, I've got to soak this bread and these sardines if I'm to survive. And I did get depressed, and I also wanted to just give up. Then I had to remember that my daughter was on her way, and it was in no way that I was going to put her through taking me back in a box. Now, I told you when I got in the first ward, our nurse came in and she went, "Oh, something tells me I need to pray with you. I'm not feeling well, so it didn't matter." So she prayed, and she says, "God has told me that you're going to be all right. You're going to be all right." And while I was lying there the next day, you could see the dead bodies going across your window who had just died from COVID. And the girl in the same room with me says, "Butterfield, Butterfield, look at these people." I said, "Hey, that's okay. They'll go home to your ancestors. We have to try to fight this ourselves and try to survive." Here I am sick, trying to comfort her from what she's seeing. And then they came to get me, put me up in this other place. I mean, I had people massaging my back. I had people, the physiotherapists coming in and showing me how to breathe. Uh, Ended up giving me breathing tool. Now remember, you're not in a regular hospital where you can get a nice gown or you can get a blanket. All those things you have to bring in yourself. It's government run, but you're responsible for your underwear. And I'm saying, well, I didn't grab any of this stuff. You know, I'm used to going to a hospital in Bermuda. Your supplies are there. Even your own medication you had to get. Even your own food you had to bring in. And from the food they were giving me, I lost 25 pounds. I just couldn't eat it. They said, "What are you going to eat?" I said, "Just give me porridge. Just give me porridge. Just give me porridge." So I was just eating porridge because I knew I wanted to survive. One night I said, "This is it. I just don't, I don't know if I'm going to make it." So I removed the oxygen.
Mm.
I just lied there, and all of a sudden I heard the nurse say, "Butterfield, put it back in." I'm like, huh? How did she know that? But the machine, your fingers in something, so they figure it out. And so from there, I started to get better. Couldn't walk; it was still difficult. Diapers on, never had that experience. And finally started to get better. Moved me back over to another ward, and all those were COVID patients. They were coughing. I said, "I'm not going to get out of here." The reason why they didn't have my PCR test is because they spelled my name wrong twice.
Oh.
So I couldn't get any results. And finally, a Cuban doctor came in and says, how do language barrier, spell your name? He spelled my name. Finally, I got the test results back, and I was negative. So they put me over into the next ward, another room, and there was a lady there. Oh my gosh, she wasn't eating, but she was eating all kinds of crackers and stuff like that. I'm trying to tell her, "You're gonna make your sugar level come up. You're not gonna be, although I am real sick. If you saw that oxygen tank all rusty and they were running out of oxygen, I said, "Okay, I'm gonna go on now." But one boy kept coming and says, "Mommy, mommy, me get you some oxygen. Don't worry, me get you some oxygen." He'll come back in the middle of the night with this big barrel, you thought if it hit you on your foot or anything, you would be crushed. But we don't see that in our hospitals. Our oxygen is, hidden in the back of the walls and things like that there. So there were people that were caring for you. So you can't really knock the hospital for what they had. But their nurses, the orderlies, and the doctors were first class. No one could come and see you. And if someone bought you food, it went cool. Oh, all kinds of things like that there. I finally was released. A Chinese doctor came in and said, "Why are you holding her? She's breathing quite well," because I kept doing the breathing exercises myself. I wanted to see my daughter, who traveled all the way from the UK to Bermuda. Then she needed a passport and she had to wait. But she finally arrived in Jamaica, and she came and got me. We did a PCR test. It was heartbreaking to leave. It really was heartbreaking to leave Jamaica. Yeah. And I believe every COVID journey is different. Mine was different. I have survived. I'm happy I survived, but I still needed to heal. Going back home, I didn't feel like I was healing as I wanted to do. I wanted to see the mountains. I wanted to go to the river. I wanted to be in that special place of quietness and comfort. And so that's why I came back to Jamaica, especially for the healing. Because remember, you've got members around you and friends around you who haven't caught COVID yet. So not everybody wants to be around you or be close to you. Getting better now.
That's a good, as far as
Hmm.
the
Yeah,
anxiety that comes from the family members and friends and such who are afraid of getting it, right? So they don't really know that, there's a lot of anxiety that goes around with this
it
COVID.
is.
Yeah.
It's something. And will it ever get back to where people will accept you? You know, because once they've heard you've got COVID, that's it. Right? They still think it's just like I cleared out my house here, took all my clothes home, everything home, because I said, look, I don't think I'm coming back. I need to rent it. And people were saying, well, if you rent it, will they catch COVID? You see how that is? I didn't leave it in my household, but it's real. I know it's real because it happened to me. How it happened, I don't know. It could be ATM. It could someone had cleaned my car. It could have been the grocery store because you're not used to bringing everything in and wiping it off. You're not used to wiping your doorknobs. You're not used to wiping your car when somebody has finished cleaning it. But it got me. And
So
I just think it's a miracle.
the moment like when you took the oxygen out, like did you really feel that you were going to go at that moment, or was it just uncomfortable for that second? Like what was going on
I
in
was
your
just
head?
tired. I was tired and I just wanted to go sleep. And somehow I just said, this is it, and pulled it out. No anxiety or anything like that. I think it's a stage that you go through,
Mm,
like the will to live was fading.
mm,
Yeah, yeah. You couldn't move, you couldn't get out, you couldn't get out of the bed. You all kinds of tubes are in you.
mm,
But I just couldn't see my family doing all that work. And then uh, the government health part had called and said that if I wanted to come back to Bermuda, they could bring me back on an air ambulance, but they would have to put me to sleep. Now, here's the key, but there's no guarantee that you will wake.
oh,
That's I think that's when I said, "Oh my God, don't do that," you know. But everyone was willing to do their part to get me back to Bermuda, to get me. But when I went back to Bermuda, my brother and his wife, my brother Roger and his wife Judy, were very gracious to have me at their house for about 3 months, and then I went back home. The most loneliest feeling, just needed things to do. I had a wonderful friend, uh, both of them, Belinda Cyrus, who stuck by my side. She wasn't afraid to come around. She was scared too. You know, she was going to lose her best friend, and she was very good to me. I did lose some friends along the way, so all I could do is apologize. And you didn't understand what was going on. One thing about being away sick, everybody WhatsApps you.
mm,
You're feeling bad. You can't breathe. And you have someone say, oh, I hear you've got COVID. And I'm like, okay, but I can't talk to you. So whoever you are, and if someone's listening, you know someone that told you that, well, I apologize. But even up to today, I still haven't answered a lot of friends. There is this COVID long haul,
mhm.
and I wouldn't say it damaged my brain too much because I still teach. I remember my doctor said if I have any memory loss, I said, no, I don't think of something I have forgotten. I feel fine. But your mind, you want to, I might want to call you, but I just don't call. I have no control over that. And I was diagnosed with spinal stenosis. I don't know if that happened when I was taken to get x-rays and ultrasounds in an ambulance that looked like an army truck.
Mm.
Anyway, that went bumpity bump. I had no clothes, just the thing on. And I just threw my hands up and the nurse, we're good friends today. She says, wherever you have to go, and if I have to work overtime, I'm going to stay with you. And she took me down there. I mean, no clothes, no underwear, nothing. And that truck must have hit every pothole. That you know what potholes in Jamaica. And so I was diagnosed with well, after the x-ray, they did see everything was cleared up. But when I went back to Bermuda, I had to get some x-rays because I was in a considerable amount of pain. I had to come back in a wheelchair. I was fine leaving Jamaica in a wheelchair. I was fine leaving Miami in a wheelchair. Got to Bermuda, no wheelchair. I told my daughter I'll hold by her until, then they said, no, Miss Butterfield, we get you a wheelchair. Finally, the wheelchair came. This is where God is so good. The young man with the wheelchair says, hey, Care computer camp, a little man that used to come to the camp.
Wow.
And he did everything for me right out to the car. I did have to get my walking back. I did quite well. My friend Belinda came, took me out, and of course, you knew where I went back round to the school to keep my mind occupied. I am still in therapy. I go to the chiropractor here for my spinal stenosis, and it has just about cleared up. I've been going twice a week. I only go once now. So as I said, everybody's COVID journey is different. I didn't think I'll ever be able to talk about it. So you're the first one I'm talking to about it. In terms of, yeah, it's important because everybody's, and if you've been a survivor, then you have to let people know that it's real. It was real. Yeah. And nurses in Bermuda, where everybody was saying, come back home. But I was not taking that chance after I heard that there's no guarantee.
If I can't imagine them saying, "Yeah, we can medevac you out, but you have to put you to sleep, and you might not wake up." I mean, I can't imagine them telling me that.
And that's because of the oxygen,
Mm.
and having to be under that, they would have to have put me to sleep. I remember that Chinese doctor coming in, and he just snatched that thing out of my nose, and he said, "Why are you all keeping her here? She can go home now." But had to leave in a wheelchair because I wasn't walking. I wasn't walking that well. Now, when they moved me to my second room, I cried. I only had the blanket that I grabbed when I left home. No sheet, because all those things you're supposed to bring in yourself. And when I got in the room, the rain fell. And it fell on me. Thank God for that. Thank God for that blanket. Unbelievable. There's no screens. Rain was coming.
You're in your hotel room. I mean, in your hospital room, in the bed, and the water is dripping. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, I felt the raindrops, and I just cried. I said, "Oh my God, what are you putting me through?" But God puts you through things for a reason.
This is a humbling, why, it may be too early to ask this, and hopefully you don't take any offense to it.
I'm not an offensive person.
When you think about everything that happens for a reason. There's something we're supposed to get out of it. What did you get out of this? I know you're still in it. It's not over, but what do you feel this horrible experience taught you? How has it changed you?
It's changed me in a lot of ways. Is to accept the things that I cannot change, right? And also to fulfill my purpose. I have time to still fulfill some things in my life. And that's what I took from it. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. God has given me another opportunity. And when I hear people passing, it's not a good feeling. All the memories come back. I remember when it happened to me, someone wanted to interview me over the radio right away. And I said, listen, you just interviewed somebody, it took her a year to talk, but you want me to talk in 2 months. Right. So it's a whole phase, and then there are flashbacks. There continues to be flashbacks. How could I say I'm sorry? How could I, apologize to a behavior that through COVID I had no control of? How do I do
Do
it?
you mean apologizing to your parents for not responding?
Yeah, I still feel, but it's okay because I'm hoping to do a video, and I'll send that video to the ones that I didn't, so they can understand my COVID journey. Yeah.
Well, first of all, I hear the echo, but first of all, thank you for trusting us to share this
Sure.
experience, with me and those who are listening, because as you mentioned, a lot of people do not understand what it's like to go through something like that. And you sometimes hear it, you may be far removed. If you haven't had a personal experience, you may just not get it. But I do pray that you get some peace and be able to remove any guilt that you feel around not responding back. I think that's your public serviceness, like that person, your personality, that part of your personality that really cares about other people, so much so that you're still caring about how they feel and how they felt while you were in the middle of fighting for your own life. Like you were literally
Yes.
fighting for your own life.
But this tonight may have been that healing process because I've spoken it, because you didn't know.
Yeah.
So it might be the healing process right there, and it wouldn't bother me anymore. It's good to talk about what you've been through and express your feelings. I've been in downtown Ocho Rios. I've been into the pharmacy there. There's a young man that said, "You look like the lady." Yes, I bought you the oxygen, and I was just so happy. I was just so happy to see him. He said, "I recognize you by your hair, my locks."
Yeah.
And he said, "I told you you was going to make it." So it was good. It was good to see him. I do have a daughter-in-law here in Jamaica, Samantha, and she used to do the cooking for me. And I just told her the other day, I said, "Now I will tell you that your food came hot, but I got it when it was cool." They don't have microwaves. I always wanted a cup of mint tea, and they didn't have that. And I'm telling you, almost a whole month in a hospital without television, uh, uh, without being able to move your hands freely or your body freely. It wasn't good, but I made it. I came through it, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone.
Yeah.
I do say to colleagues here in Jamaica is that I started to get angry because the reggae music and those that's making all that money could at least um, upgrade that hospital. And on the news, it came on that it's in the budget to be upgraded. So I said, "Oh, okay." So
Yeah.
I spent my time looking out the window and watching people, and oh goodness, just trying to get the time to go by, but it wasn't easy because both of the women that were in both of those other rooms with me coughed and coughed and coughed and coughed all night. The side you're supposed to lay on is the side that they're coughing, and you had to keep your mask on. It was something. It was something, but
You made it.
yes, we beat it.
You beat
Yes.
it. Yes,
Mhm.
you are here. You are able to share. You're still teaching.
Yeah.
You still have all these things that you're
The,
doing.
the results of COVID come on the TV every night, and you say, "Oh my God, I could have been one of them." But you just
Yeah.
have to thank God.
Yeah.
It's been a journey. I never thought I would experience anything like this, but it caught me. As I say, it's real.
Mm-hmm.
And and that's going to be a short book because there's some things I need to write in my COVID journey. It probably wouldn't be that long, a couple of few pages or something like that.
Yeah, but definitely, write it up, as you said, for your own being able to process it all, and then of course, for other people as well. So so we have some comments and such. Let's see, I don't see any questions, but I will read out some of the comments. So, oh, I forgot the name of the boutique. I can't think of the name of the boutique, but so Sister Stowe, Sister Karima, she has a boutique in Bermuda.
Marcia.
Yeah. And she's the one who brought me to Bermuda. So I love her and her husband.
Wonderful.
Musician. So great program. Thank you both, Miss Butterfield, for sharing. Miss Janice said that you are amazing. She said, thank you for sharing.
I don't think she even knew. Thank you, Janice.
Tracy says, you are resilient and your assignment continues. Be blessed.
Yeah, I went to Tracy after I left you in Detroit. Yeah.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah.
Brother Halil Ibrahim from Ghana says, Alhamdulillah, all praise due to God for your life.
Thank you.
Mercy. Oh, the power of support. That's a real theme I'm taking away here. Like, my job is to be able to help whoever I can help. And I love the fact that people really invested in you and put you in places where you were able to shine and learn, but also, give, which is amazing. Sister Amina, her story is powerful. Yvonne, thank you, Nalitha. Such an inspiring and informative presentation.
One of my sisters from the National Association of Negro Business and Professional Women's Club, along with Tracy Isaac. Wonderful ladies.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
It's important for young people to see someone who looks like them and has a similar story to know how the journey began. Yes, we can do whatever we want to do. Awesome.
That's all international. Where's the Bermuda folks?
Yep. Here is Joan Peterson.
She lives in Bermuda from Jamaica.
And Paula Bringman.
Oh, yes, Paula. Thank you, Paula. Her father and I were very close, and Paula has been support. That's my sister-in-law I told you about. Yeah, that's the one I got to get the information from.
Awesome. Miss Stacy took away about the money. So saving your money.
Oh, Stacy saved me money essentials. That was the other part of the course. That's my grandson's mother. Those 3 courses have been doing. She's doing one, and they're in the prison.
Got it. Money essentials. Miss Jean watching from Boundless Bermuda.
Yes,
I think I'm gonna go back to Bermuda one day. I like that cave where those 2 boys fell down there and found that cave.
And your tour guide was my GED student. That's my niece. Your tour guide is one of my students.
I love it. And Marla, who's this?
That's my niece.
That's your niece, you said. Okay, awesome.
She's partly Jamaican. Okay. Her husband is, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, and then Miss Janice says, love you. Miss Nalitha, it's been a wonderful evening learning from you. I have taken away a lot of different things. Some of my takeaways from this are, one, to never give up, and be resilient. But also what I really like about your story is that when you see something, 2 things. One is that you see something that can help you and you go after it. Like, you don't shy out, you don't punk out, you don't like, you actually went after it. And I'm thinking in particular about the meeting with Dr. Muriel Wade Smith, right? Like, actually seeing her on television. That's a chance thing. You saw.
I still can visualize it today. Yeah, wow. Seeing her on television, having that interview. 1981.
1981. I was 2. And then you actually went, though, because a lot of people see stuff, but they don't actually take the action.
Oh, and yes, I know. Yeah.
And then the second big thing with you is like the power of support. Like, throughout the whole conversation tonight, you dropped so many names of people that either assisted you or helped you. Like, you dropped their names. You gave them praises for their role in your journey. And that is a beautiful thing for us to see, those people that were able to assist along the way. And then, of course, we already know that you're doing that for so many other people. So the power of support and the power of letting people, letting people love on you and letting people guide you. You're humble enough that you will allow other people to invest in you and to listen to them, right? So that you could actually move to your next stage in what you were doing. And those are
Yeah.
some major, major things. So before I give you final words, I'm going to give you final words in just a moment. But you all, if you want any of this way, any of Miss Butterfield's books, you can go on to Amazon. She has 8 books now, and she's working on her 9th book. And the thing about all of the books is that they're historical records. So she has kept, I don't know how she did it. I feel like it's a little miracle, but she all of these historical documents from politics, from the schooling that she's done, all of those things, speeches that she's given all around the world. She's compiled all of these different things into volumes of her series of books, and has made sure that the legacy is going to remain, right? Like no one can say, well, what did those students do? They have it in their own words. She kept
Yes.
like, nobody can make that up. They can read it in their own words. So you guys can go on Amazon and grab anything from her. And Miss Butterfield, like if people want to get in contact with you, I'm not going to flood your emails or such, but how can people get in contact with you if they would like to learn more about CARE or donate or anything to the things that you're doing?
Okay, well, I could do the emails over here. It's Care Learning 83.
Wait, hold on. Let me say it again. CARE and then
Learning
learning.
83.
8083.
No, just 83.
Oh, 83.
At gmail.com.
At gmail.com.
Or
Okay.
Nelethas, Nelethas.
Nelethas
Lethas
at gmail.com.
gmail.com.
All right, so those are her 2 emails. Care Learning 83 at gmail.com and Nalethas at gmail.com. So, Miss Butterfield, any final words?
Yeah, I want to first thank my family in Bermuda. I know they're worried about me here, but I'm fine. My brother Michael, my brother Roger, and Judy and their family. Oh, just awesome. And especially my niece who lives upstairs with me in Bermuda. I can't go off without mentioning her. That's my first niece. That's Mia. She checked on me. She made sure I had something to eat when I came back home. She still runs messages for me. I did mention her name because she was one of the directors of CARE for a couple of years. Thankful for all those who continue to support me, and most of all, to those who understand. We have to understand what is happening around us. And once we understand, we're able to contribute. I'm helpful for all of those I'm thankful for all of those. I'm thankful for Marilyn. Marilyn has already come by the school and bought 5 books. I'm thankful to Jean. I'm thankful for my purple girl, Beverly, who always stayed by my side. She was my administrative assistant. Wherever I went, she went in my ministries with me, and she's still with me today. Thankful for my partner, Norman DeCosta, who continues to mornings, afternoons, evenings to make sure I'm okay, so that my family knows that I'm doing all right here. I've met friends, but we haven't got together because of COVID, and we do things at a distance. And giving thanks for this opportunity. And thank you so much for allowing me to share. And I know so many people are surprised, and they can continue to pray for me. Don't know how much longer the school will be open. It's doing okay, but it comes a time that you have to. 40 years will be next year, and it comes a time that things have to come to a close so that we can move on and do something else. So thank you for this opportunity to do this. The books are in Bermuda. I decided to let them go out for sale in memory of Black History Month. And those, like I said, those 6 young males on front of that book, it's important. I want to just let people know how if you walk with God, if you have faith and you believe, there are 4 parents and family of those individuals on that book. There were 2 I couldn't reach. And I was going to the chiropractor and left my phone on roaming, and the phone rang. And oh my gosh, it was Miss Phillips, Odine Phillips' mother, who said that she saw the book on Facebook. I have never heard a woman being so thankful for someone recognizing her son. And then I tried to track down Miss Wilson, called back to school for the 2008 records. My grandson gave it to me, and none of the numbers worked. I finally called a friend, and she says, I'll get the information for you. It goes to show you how wonderful people, I wouldn't mention her name, but she's my mother's godchild. And she found the number. I called, and of course, that mother screamed, and she was just so thankful that she sent me a beautiful email to thank me for mentioning her son and to put that information in that book. I don't know whose lives it will touch. And already the bookmark has called for more books. So already I feel that it's going to be a good read. Someone said they were sitting in their car and couldn't move because of all the stories and the ambitions that these young men want. Anyone who attended CARE and you got your high school diploma from 1984 until 2020, sorry, your name's in the back of the book. So have a look at it. And like I said, it's just wonderful. I have one student while I'm there, Craig. I don't know if Craig's listening, but Craig Daniels, uh, he's a soldier. He's the soldier that helped us with that book. And Craig would always come by, tell him, stop coming by. He's a carpenter, and I always find something wrong and something for him to do. But I'm thankful for all those people. It may not be many, and we only just need a few that have been so helpful and so understanding. Understanding is the key, and respect is the other key. Respect for others have done in life. Let's not just hold them up in prayer, but be thankful for what they've done. And the lives that we have touched is very important. A lot of people are in things for the wrong reason. Um, if God has bestowed a vision or something on your life, try to fulfill it. There's not much time left for this generation of mine now. So it's important to fulfill and document. It's important to write, to make notes, because you want to leave something to your grandchildren. I never mentioned um, my great grandchildren because I'm trying to do something with them and mixed with care where the little children come to school with illustrations, and the illustrations will be those great grandchildren. Look at you, another book.
That's number 2.
Thank you for being my publisher. I have to thank you because for someone to do 8 books, I wonder what you're thinking. But I remember when you first said, you're straight up to this. I said, oh, I don't have a problem with you being straight up, and you understood that. And you're gonna, you'll be critical. I understood that as well. And we've taken the criticism and we've worked it out. We worked through it. And I think even as the books go on, they get the more perfect, put it that way. And the covers and the way that you have captured me in Jamaica, they go, thank you. You captured me.
Oh, well, thank you for trusting us. We appreciate you coming to us to be able to bring your stuff to light. And I'm just honored. Honestly, I'm really honored and thankful that you are a part of my life outside of the publishing part. We'll always be able to help you with those things, but just for you being who you are and inspiring those that you touch, I'm really thankful for that. So I pray that God allows you all your extra visions and things that you're going to be doing. As you said, your purpose is still here. You're here for a reason. You have some more things that you want to do. So I'm looking forward to seeing the things that you plan to do. Whether that just be drive out there and look at the mountains, that's perfectly fine too.
Oh my gosh, I drove Kingston the other day, and I said to visit some friends, and I pray for that friend. She's taken sick as well, and you just go, oh, every time you drive, you go, oh. I left early in the morning, and then that song call came to me, when the dew is still on the roses and all the fog was coming down. You could just about see, but it was just a tremendous drive into Kingston. And then I said, gee, I wish I was in back of a car, just going, oh, but I had to keep my eyes on the road.
Yeah.
So I'm thankful.
I want to tell you real quick, as far as and those who have to go, we love you. You'll be able to watch the replay. But Dr. Muriel Wade Smith, I know she's in the hospital right now, and there was a time that she wanted us to be able to do a book, and she, there was lots of stuff that was going on or whatever. But if she still wants us to be able to do that, if you can let her know that, like, we'll do that for her.
Yes. And you do have, I don't know if she's watching.
I mean, at no charge. So we'll do that for her at no charge. So she can come and we can, handle that for her, because I feel like, thank you so much, babe. Look at my little daughter. She's on it. Thank you. Love you for that.
I'll have a drink with you.
Right. Yes. But, if she still wants us to be able to help her with that.
Yeah, I think she's almost ready. And we also have Reverend Ruby Smith. Mm-hmm. And I think you remember her as well. Her husband did a lot of work in Bermuda. Her book is ready, and we're just looking for sponsorship. She said she didn't want to ask anybody, but we're looking for sponsorship that Reverend Ruby Smith can finally give you the permission to go ahead with her book.
Okay.
Yeah. That's next. Yeah.
Love it. All right, everyone. Well, thank you all so much. Ms. Butterfield, honey, thank you so much for being so sweet and for sharing your story and such with us. We've learned a lot. For those of you who came in late, go ahead and watch the replay, because there were quite a lot of gems that I learned personally. I think that you all will also get some gems that you can take and implement into your life. That's the purpose of these things, to learn people's stories so that you can learn and implement.
Yes, I just emailed a young lady today, and the reason why I emailed her, because I'm watching her on a talk show, and she said that she's getting tired. She's getting tired of this and tired of things that are happening in Bermuda. And I just wanted to leave a scripture verse with her. It says, do not get weary. And I'll close with that. Do not get weary in well doing, because you will reap if you faint not. Yeah.
If you faint not. Got it.
Okay.
Beautiful. All right. Well, love you all. Have a great evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye.